Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Nar for the Nar Report. Back today with another episode. This is episode 17 of the Nar Report. Now, I just want to say thank y'all for all the love and the support, all the subscribers, all the followers on Instagram and TikTok. I appreciate that every day. And in today's episode, I'll talk about a lot of things. College football, the playoff starts this weekend. So I'm going to give y'all my predictions on each game and who will they play in the second round if they win. I will also talk about the NFL Week 15 recap of all the games. NFL Week 15 just wrapped up last night between the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings won that game, and my Atlanta Falcons defeated the Las Vegas Raiders in Vegas, and give you my Week 16 NFL predictions. And if you haven't, make sure to sub to the YouTube and follow me on all of my social media platforms on Instagram and TikTok at _NAR_report. And like I said, sub to the YouTube as well too. And make sure to turn on that bell to get all of the notifications on when I go live. Let's get into it. Starting off with the college football playoffs. The playoff starts this weekend. They start on Friday with Indiana and Notre Dame. This is going to be a very good game. I feel like there's going to be a lot of underdogs for this college football playoffs. You never know who's going to win, or you don't know who's going to lose. So I like both of these teams. They got a good offense, a good defense. But when I look at both of these teams, I'm rolling with an upset. I'm going with an upset. Give me Indiana over Notre Dame. The winner out of that game will go up against Georgia in the quarterfinals. Next game, we got SMU and Penn State. I got Penn State winning that game. And the winner of that game will go up against Boise State, Ashton Jennings. Next game, Tennessee and Ohio State. Ooh, boy, this is a good one right here. Ohio State is not a playoff team, so give me Tennessee. And the winner out of Tennessee and Ohio State will go up against Oregon. And then last but not least, Clemson and Texas. Texas will be Clemson because Texas is a very good team by playoff time. They got a good quarterback. The coaching over there is great. Offense is great. The defense is good. I like Texas over Clemson, but I won't be surprised if Clemson pulls out the upset. So the winner out of Clemson and Texas will play against Arizona State in the second round. So there are 4 teams on the bye: Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, and Arizona State. And I'll repeat, so about the first round games. The winner out of Clemson and Texas will play against Arizona State. The winner out of Tennessee and Ohio State will play against Oregon. SMU and Penn State will play against Boise. That's whoever wins. And Notre Dame, Indiana will go up against my Georgia Bulldogs. I'm ready, baby. I'm ready. Now, before I talk about the NFL, I like to talk about Travis Hunter winning the Heisman. That is well-deserved, man. He's an all-around player. Best player in college football. Amazing wide receiver. Amazing cornerback. That dude is special. I would love to see where he lands in the NFL next season. Now transitioning to the NFL. NFL Week 15 just wrapped up last night, and I'm here to recap all of the games. Starting off with the Thursday night game between the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. NFC West showdown. Huge playoff implications. Both teams trying to win the division. Rams win 12-6 in San Francisco. This was an ugly game. This was a snooze fest right here. No touchdowns, straight field goals. It was just kick after kick after kick after kick after kick. This was a defensive game overall, but I feel like the 49ers should have won this game. If Deebo Samuel did not drop that pass on like third down, that's a touchdown all day. But the Rams, in general, they played a good game. Matthew Stafford, I love when I see for him. 16 for 27 for completion, threw for 160 yards. 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, ever since they came back from injury, they've been balling lately. And the Los Angeles Rams will win the division and make the playoffs. And they can win a playoff game too, because I love this Los Angeles Rams team. I love Sean McVay. I love Matthew Stafford. He can still play at a high level. And they got elite wide receivers too, but their defense is questionable. Now, let's talk about the 49ers. The 49ers, their season is over after that loss against the Rams. But let's just talk about Devondre Campbell. He refused to enter the game in the fourth quarter, which they could have needed him to win the game. But he refused to enter, left the game, went back to the locker room, and now he's suspended for the rest of the season. They're probably going to get rid of him after the season's over. So, yeah. But either way, the 49ers season comes to an end. And that's it. Rams win 12-6. There wasn't really nothing much to talk about because it was a straight field goals, no touchdowns. That's a defensive game right there. Moving on to the next game, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Browns. Chiefs win 21-7 in Cleveland. Patrick Mahomes has suffered a right ankle sprain. He is questionable for Saturday's game against the Houston Texans, and they play on Wednesday on Christmas, next Wednesday on Christmas, against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. So what do I do? If Mahomes is healthy and ready to go, I'll play him for the next 2 games and then let him sit for the last game against the Denver Broncos because the Chiefs are guaranteed going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Let's talk about the stats for Pat Mahomes. Mahomes, he had a pretty rough game, 19 for 38 for completion, threw for 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Chiefs' offense was very solid. The defense was good. The Kansas City Chiefs, this was probably their best win of the season. And I understand it's the Cleveland Browns, but this is finally a game when the Chiefs don't go head-to-head, like down to the wire. Now let's talk about the Browns. Ain't really nothing much to say about them. Winston, he didn't have a good game. They only scored 1 touchdown. That was from Jerome Ford. And the Browns are just rebuilding. But Jameis Winston is their new franchise quarterback. They should get rid of Deshaun Watson after this season. And that's it. Chiefs win 21-7 and improve to 14-3 of the season. Not 14-3, but 13-1. 13-1. Sorry about that. Moving on to the next game. The Washington Commanders defeated the New Orleans Saints 20-19. JD Daniels, that kid is special, man. Should be the favorites to win Rookie of the Year, but I doubt he's going to win it because that award is going to Bo Nix. Okay, he's been out playing JD Daniels. Man, this game came down to a 2-point conversion. Saints down 7. They scored a touchdown at the last second. And then goes for 2. I'm like, oh, Lord. This is the thing right here I love to talk about. When you're down 7 in a game time situation, you score a touchdown, you're down 1. Why don't you kick the field goal? Why? Like, I just hate when teams do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, just kick the field goal and go to overtime. That just shows you that you don't have faith in your team. But otherwise, though, Jaden Daniels had an amazing game, 25 for 31 for completion, threw for 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Scary Terry, he had a good game, 10 targets, 7 receptions for 73 yards. Hey, I like Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry. That is a good wide receiver and quarterback duo in the NFC East. But for New Orleans, though, they played a great game, though. Offense was good. The defense was great. But I don't think they should have went for 2. And that's it. Commanders win 20-19. Moving on to the next game, we got the Baltimore Ravens and the New York Giants. Ravens destroyed the Giants 35-14 in New York, MetLife Stadium. Let's talk about it. The Baltimore Ravens, great game. Lamar Jackson threw for 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns, playing like an MVP. But I feel like the way Josh Allen has been playing, he's going to get the MVP. But Lamar Jackson is still in that conversation to win MVP. So we just got to see how this season plays out. So, yeah, you never know. Lamar Jackson, looking at the stats, 21 for 25 for completion, threw for 290 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Ravens offense spectacular. Derrick Henry, he had a good game, even though he didn't score a touchdown. 14 attempts for 67 yards. Their receivers, Rashad Bateman, 5 targets, 3 receptions for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Justice Hill had a touchdown as well, too. Mark Andrews had a touchdown. And D. Walker had a touchdown as well, too. I don't know the name of the receiver, but he also had a touchdown as well, too. And the Baltimore Ravens are in good shape to win the AFC North. They will win the division if they beat the Steelers on Saturday. That is the AFC North championship right there. Battle for the division. I'll talk about the game by the end of the show when I give y'all my Week 16 NFL predictions, but the Baltimore Ravens are in good shape to win the AFC North. All right, they just got to win out and see what happens. And to me, the Baltimore Ravens are a Super Bowl contender, but we just got to see what happens in the playoffs because Lamar Jackson in the playoffs doesn't show up really well. All right, he doesn't show up big time. And for the Giants, ain't really nothing much to say about them. Poverty franchise, organization's horrible. Sell the team. Fire everybody. All right. Fire everybody. Get everybody that's on the New York Giants, except for Malik Neighbors, go. Offensive line, defensive line, the quarterbacks. Get rid of everybody, okay? Because the New York Giants are one of the most sorriest franchises in the NFL. And that's it. Ravens won 35-14. Moving on to the next game, huge playoff implications in the AFC in Houston with the Miami Dolphins taking on the Houston Texans. Texans win 20-12. Let's talk about it. The Texans played a great game. CJ Stroud, he had a good game. The offense was good. The defense was phenomenal, applying pressure on Tua Tagovailoa. CJ Stroud, looking at his stats, 18 for 26 for completion, threw for 131 yards, 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. CJ Stroud is a dog. The Texans won that game and clinched the AFC South for the second year in a row. Congratulations to the Houston Texans for winning that division. They won the division by beating the Dolphins, and the Colts lost to the Denver Broncos. So I just want to say congrats to the Texans there. They deserve the division, and they are going to the playoffs, and they'll get a home playoff game in January. I love the Texans. I love CJ Stroud. I hate that Stephon Diggs is out for the year, but he got other receivers as well, too. Tank Dell and Nico Collins, they got a good defense. Will Anderson Jr., I love him, man. He's a great defensive player. Good coach. I keep forgetting his name, but DeMeco Ryan. Yeah, DeMeco Ryan, amazing head coach. This Texans team is going to be a problem in the future. Now let's talk about the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa, as I should say, Tua turned the ball over. Yes, that's Tua's name. Tua turned the ball over because it was none but interceptions. Looking at the stats, Tua did not have a good game at all. He was just throwing interceptions left to right. Looking at the stats, 29 for 40 for completion, threw for 196 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. And all those 3 interceptions was when he was trying to force the ball to Tyreek Hill. And the Dolphins needed that game to stay alive for the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to make the playoffs now because I had them making the playoffs at the beginning of the season. But sometimes you just can't trust Tua. You just can't trust Tua. And I don't know what to say about that. But here's the thing about Tua Tagovailoa. He is an amazing quarterback, but he just turned the ball over a lot. Okay? And you can't have that in games like this. You know what I'm saying? Huge playoff implications. You need to win to stay alive for the playoffs. And what does Tua do? Go out there and throw 3 interceptions. Really? And it's crazy because I picked the Dolphins to win that game in a very close game. But it was close, though. But Tua turned the ball over. That's his name. And that's it. Texans win 20-12. Clinched the AFC South for the second year in a row. And improved to 9-5 of the season. Moving on to the next game, we got the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. Cowboys win 30-14. There was really nothing much to say about this game. No playoff implications. The only playoff implication was Dallas need to win to stay alive for the playoffs, but Carolina's already eliminated from playoff contention. But next season, though, they could be a problem in the NFC South. So watch out for the Panthers. Cowboys played a great game. Cooper Rush, 18 for 29 for completion, threw for 214 yards, 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. CeeDee Lamb, he had a good game, 13 targets, 9 receptions for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. Rico Dowdle, amazing running back. But the Cowboys, they're not most likely going to make the playoffs. In order for them to make the playoffs, they got to win out and need some help. All right, so. And speaking of the Cowboys, I will be rooting for y'all next Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because we need y'all to win If we beat the Giants and y'all beat the Bucks, we are back in first place in the NFC South. And we control our own destiny for here. So I'll be rooting for the Cowboys to beat the Carolina Panthers next week. But otherwise, though, the Cowboys played a great game against Carolina. Offense was great. The defense was phenomenal. Now let's talk about the Panthers. Bryce Young, he had a pretty good game. 19 for 28 for completion, threw for 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. But Bryce Young is the future, though. Ever since he got benched, he has been playing out of his mind. And that's it. Cowboys win 30-14. Moving on to the next game, we got the New York Jets defeating the Jacksonville Jaguars 32-25 in Jacksonville. Can we just be honest with ourselves real quick? Before I dive into the game, who watched this game? Okay? Who really watched this game? I'm pretty sure nobody really watched this game besides 2 Jets fans and 2 Jaguars fans. Okay? Because this game really means nothing to both teams. Okay? Jets already eliminated from playoff contention. The Jaguars are tanking. There wasn't really nothing much to say about this game. But Aaron Rodgers, he had a good game. 16 for 30 for completion, threw for 289 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 receptions. Devontae Adams had a great game. That dude is a dog. He played like a dog out there. 12 targets, 9 receptions for 198 yards and 2 touchdowns. In the first half, it wasn't looking good for the Jets, but in the second half, they came ready to play. Now let's talk about the Jaguars. The Jaguars played a great game too. Mac Jones, solid game, 31 for 46 for completion, threw for 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Offense played well. The defense was all right, but ain't really nothing much to say about this game. And that's it. Jets win 32-25. Moving on to the next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals and the Tennessee Titans. Bengals win 37-27. Keeping their playoff hopes alive at 6-7. Let's talk about it. Joe Burrow, good game. 26 for 37 for completion, threw for 271 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And what's crazy about this game is when that big dude from the Titans, that big defensive end for the Titans, got that interception and ran it for like 20 yards. That Titans bench was going crazy. He was stiff arming everybody. Man, that was a moment for him. But the Bengals, though, are still alive for the playoffs. They need to win out. Hopefully the Broncos lose out, too, because they got a pretty tough schedule. But the Bengals could end up sneaking into the playoffs at 9-8, but they're going to need some help, though. Jamar Chase, he had a good game. 11 targets, 9 receptions for 94 yards. The offense for the Bengals was great. The defense played phenomenal. They had a pick 6 at the first half, I believe. But the Bengals, great game. Now let's talk about the Titans. Not Mason Rudolph, but I believe Will Levis has been benched because he threw 3 interceptions. But Mason Rudolph came into the game and balled out. Mason Rudolph stats 21 for 26 from completion, threw for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Will Levis, 8 for 12 for completion, threw for 89 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Ain't nothing much to say about the Titans. They suck. And that's it. Bengals win 37-27. Moving on to the next game, the 4 o'clock games. The New England Patriots and the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals win 30-17 in Arizona, keeping their playoff hopes alive, improved to 7-7 of the season. Still alive for that NFC West. Let's talk about it. Kyler Murray, good game. The Arizona Cardinals can still win this division. They play the Los Angeles Rams, not this weekend, week 16, but they play each other week 17. That game could be for the division. And the Cardinals are a really good team. I like Kyler Murray. They got weapons. They got a very good defense. Watch out for the Cardinals to make a playoff push. Kyler Murray, he had a good game. 23 for 30 for completion. Threw for 224 yards. 0 touchdowns. Threw for 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. The offense was great, though. The defense was phenomenal. Really, though, They got touchdowns by running the ball, and the defense had a couple turnovers as well too. But for the Patriots, Drake May is the future, and hopefully. But as a Patriots fan, you should be happy with 6 Super Bowls. But the Patriots are just rebuilding. And that's it. Cardinals win 30-17 against the Patriots. And also, Drake May had a good game. 19 for 23 for completion, 2 for 202 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Like I said, Drake May is the future. Moving on to the next game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Chargers. Bucks win 40-17 in LA. Man, the Bucks put BTA on the Chargers, and you know what BTA means. You know what I'm talking about. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers walked into Los Angeles, Hollywood, and beat the Los Angeles Chargers. They put 40 on them, ran out of their own stadium. Because in the first half, it was competitive, but then after that, it's crazy because the Chargers were up 17-13. And then when the Buccaneers scored that touchdown by Mike Evans, it was pretty much a wrap. But let's talk about it, though. The Buccaneers played a great game. They're still in first place in the NFC South. Chargers, we need y'all to win this game, okay? Because we won last night, and we should be in first place in the division now. But there's still some hope for my Atlanta Falcons to win the division. But looking at now, let's go back to the Bucks. Baker Mayfield, good game. 22 for 27 for completion, threw for 288 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Mike Evans, that dude is a dog. Looking at his stats right now, 11 targets for 9 receptions for 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think he's going to break the record this season. 1K receiving yards? Yeah, he's going to break it this season because Mike Evans is a Hall of Fame receiver, all right? He is a top 5 receiver in the NFC, and he's possibly a top 10 receiver in the NFL. I like Mike Evans. And the defense for the Buccaneers balled out as well, too, applying pressure on Justin Herbert. The Chargers really didn't have no weapons, so I kind of see why the score said what it said. And that's it. Buccaneers win 40-17 against the Chargers. Moving on to the next game, we got the Battle of Pennsylvania. Eagles win 27-13 against the Steelers. Let's talk about it. The Philadelphia Eagles are officially the best team in the NFC. I'm not saying the Lions are bad, but the Lions are dealing with a lot of injuries. But the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFC. Jalen Hurts is playing like a top 5 quarterback, playing like the best quarterback in the NFC. They got a good offense, good defense. Nick Sirianni is doing a great job at coaching this team. This team could end up in the Super Bowl. All right, so watch out for these Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, he had a good game. Looking at his stats right now, 25 for 32 for completion, threw for 290 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interception. He also had a rushing touchdown as well, too, which was that tush push. A.J. Brown, he had a good game. 11 targets, 9 receptions for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. Devontae Smith had a touchdown as well, too. Hey, their wide receiver duo both scored some touchdowns. So I love what I've seen for Jalen Hurts and this Philadelphia offense. They're clicking now. I heard there was some beef about this A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and what's wrong with their offense, but they done figured it out now. And now the Philadelphia Eagles are a problem for the rest of the season. If they win next week against the Washington Commanders, they will officially win the NFC East. Now let's talk about the Steelers. Russell Wilson, he had a solid game. 14 for 22 for completion, threw for 128 yards, 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. The Steelers offense, it was all right, but it wasn't enough to beat the Eagles because that Eagles defense was too much for them. But the Steelers defense did their thing, though. The defense did their thing, but the offense, they didn't show up. And that's it. Eagles win 27-13. Moving on to the next game, another huge game with some play applications. The Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. Broncos win 31-13 in Denver, improved to 9-5 this season. Let's talk about it. Bo Nix, rookie of the year. Okay. That dude is spectacular. He had an amazing game. 20 for 30 for completion. He had 3 touchdowns and threw for 133 yards. Broncos offense, amazing. The defense played spectacular. I love this Denver Broncos defense. The pass rush is insane. And the Denver Broncos could get some of these teams in the playoffs. So watch out for the Broncos. They could be the 5th seed. If the Broncos get the number 5 seed in the AFC, they will win a playoff game. And my bad. I said Bo Nix threw for 133 yards. He threw for 130 yards. My apologies right there. But Bo Nix, that dude is insane. At first, they was down 13-7. And then Bo Nix, he lit the Colts up. He was lining day up. Now let's talk about the Colts. Colts, this was a must-win game, okay? Y'all needed this game very bad. Anthony Richardson, poorly game. He had an awful game. 17 for 38 for completion, threw for 172 yards, 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But he had a rushing touchdown. But you know what cost the Colts the game? Colts were up 13-7. Jonathan Taylor was gone, untouched. He fumbles the football at the 1-yard line, celebrating too early. I just hate when players do that. Look, when players go untouched, they catch a pass or they running the ball, they run it. Ooh, I'm gone. See ya. But then, once you officially in the end zone, then you drop the ball. You don't drop the ball at the 1-yard line. You can't just say yourself, yeah, I'm in the end zone, I'm going to drop the ball. No, you got to be fully into the end zone to drop the ball. Jonathan Taylor thought it was a touchdown, but it was this close. This close. But man, Jonathan Taylor, you fumbled y'all season. Okay, that was the Colts season. And that's it. Broncos win 31-13 at home. Moving on to the next game, we had a Super Bowl preview between the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions. Man, this was a good game. What a shootout this was. I told y'all it was going to be a shootout, and I knew it was going to be this type of game. Bills win 48-42 in Detroit. Let's talk about it. This is the Super Bowl right here, okay? In February, we're probably going to watch the Buffalo Bills and the Detroit Lions, all right? This is the Super Bowl that we want right here, okay? Josh Allen, man, amazing game. MVP. Give Josh Allen the MVP because he was lighting the Lions defense up. The offense spectacular. He was running out of the pocket, throwing the ball up in the air, receivers making big time plays. James Cook, he had a good game. Hopefully his hair is okay though, because the Lions defender was trying to tackle him by the hair, but that would have been a penalty. But either way, he got the touchdown. But the Buffalo Bills, I had this team taking a step back, but I didn't know they was going to be this good. Like, I had them winning at least 9 games. But when you have Josh Allen at your quarterback, this what happens. Josh Allen is my guy. Looking at his stats right now. 23 for 34 for completion. Threw for 362 yards, 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. And he had 2 rushing touchdowns. James Cook, good game. 14 attempts for 105 yards. He ran for 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Buffalo Bills, amazing game. Now let's talk about the Lions. Jared Goff, looking at the stats, I'm going to say he had a good game. 38 for 59 for completion. Almost threw for 500 yards. He threw for 494 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And speaking of the Lions, David Montgomery is out for the year with an injury. Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel so bad for you, bro. I feel bad for him. No more Knuckles and Sonic for the rest of the year. Now Sonic's going to have to take over. But Jahmyr Gibbs, he had a good game. He had a touchdown. 8 attempts for 31 yards and 1 touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he had a good game. 18 targets, 14 receptions for 193 yards and 1 touchdown. Hey, this Lions team, it can still end up in the Super Bowl, okay? But they just got a lot of guys on the injury report. Man. And quick shout out to my boy Kobe Allen. My boy Kobe from the Low. If y'all know him, he was on episode 2 on my podcast on the Nard Report. Make sure y'all go check my boy out, Kobe at Cole from the Low on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. What's up, my boy Kobe? It's good to see you in the live. But back to what I was saying about the Lions. They're in the race for the number 1 seed in the NFC between them, Philly, and Minnesota. But the Lions need to win the division to get a home playoff game, because I understand that the Lions have played most of their games indoors, but the Lions need to win the division and get that number 1 seed. Yes, the Detroit Lions are so desperate to get that number 1 seed, because if you're the Lions, you want the Super Bowl to go through Detroit, okay? Because if the Super Bowl went through Detroit, I don't think nobody will beat them there. And the Detroit Lions, even though injuries are a still good team, but they're going to figure it out. I believe in the Lions still making the Super Bowl. And they're still the best team in the NFC, even though with that loss, they fought hard. But the question was, should the Lions win for that onside kick with 12 minutes left, which led to a touchdown by the Buffalo Bills. It was 38-28. Lions kick an onside kick with 12 minutes left. I would have did an onside kick. I would have just kicked the ball regularly, because if they didn't do the onside kick, this game would have came down to a game-winning touchdown by the Detroit Lions. And that's it. What a game this was from both teams. Both teams played exceptionally well. Jared Goff, he had a good game. Josh Allen played fantastic. He was amazing. Both teams played a great game. Hopefully we see the Super Bowl in February, but Bills win 48-42. Now moving on to Sunday night. The Green Bay Packers defeated the Seattle Seahawks 30-13 in Seattle. I love what I see for the Packers. Jordan Love, good game. 20 for 27 for completion. Threw for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Josh Jacobs, he had a good game. 26 attempts for 96 yards and 1 touchdown. Ever since I keep saying this every week. Ever since Jordan Love came back from injury, he has been playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league. He has. And the Green Bay Packers could end up making the NFC Championship game, because this team is spectacular. Good offense, good defense. Matt LaFleur, the head coach, I love what I'm seeing from Green Bay. Hey, Jordan Love will bring this team a Super Bowl. It won't be this season, but for the future, I love what I see for this Packers team. He got weapons. They got good receivers. He got the good running back. The defense is phenomenal. Let's talk about the Packers during this game. Offense, fantastic. The defense was great. The Green Bay Packers are officially going to playoffs. Not officially, but they will be in the playoffs. Now let's talk about the Seahawks. The Seahawks played an awful game. Geno Smith was awful. He ended up getting hurt with a knee injury. Seahawks, I ain't gonna lie, when Geno Smith got hurt, y'all should have went to the referees and be like, hey, we're forfeited. All right? They should have just forfeited the game. Because what I seen from Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks, y'all really needed this game. A lot. Like, this was a must-win game for the Seahawks in order to keep first place in the NFC West. But now the Los Angeles Rams are in first place in the NFC West. So, Rams fans, y'all better thank the Packers for beating the Seahawks, because y'all are officially in first place in the NFC West, and y'all control your own destiny. Geno Smith did not have a good game. 15 for 19 for completion, for 149 yards, 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. Sam Howell, He didn't look pretty good either. The game was most likely over when Geno got hurt. Okay, but I went to sleep when Geno got hurt. When Geno Smith got hurt, I said good night. Woke up, Packers won 30-13. Green Bay, watch out for them in the playoffs. Don't be surprised if they come out the NFC too. And quick shout out to YT_IC Siren. Appreciate the fires, my boy. Hey, y'all keep supporting the Nardport, man. I appreciate all the love and support. Now we go to Monday night with a doubleheader to finish week 15 of the recap. We got the Chicago Bears taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings win 30-12 in Minnesota, improving to 12-2 of the season, tied with the Detroit Lions for the NFC North title. Let's talk about it. Sam Darnold, good game. 24 for 40 for completion, 231 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Aaron Jones, he had a good game. 18 attempts for 86 yards, 1 touchdown. Justin Jefferson, best receiver in the NFL. All right, let's go ahead and get that out of the way. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the NFL, and the Minnesota Vikings got the best wide receiver duo in the league. And I don't care what y'all say. Yes, the Vikings got the best wide receiver duo in the league. Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, those two are special to watch. And both of them had a good game. Justin Jefferson, 13 targets, 7 receptions for 73 yards. Jordan Addison, 9 targets, 7 receptions for 63 yards. Both of them had a great game. Vikings offense was phenomenal. The defense ran all over Caleb Williams. The Vikings are a Super Bowl team, but we got to see by playoff time. But I love what I've seen from this Minnesota Vikings team. And nobody really expected the Vikings to be 12-2. We all expected this team to be rebuilding when J.J. McCarthy got hurt. But Sam Darnold stepped up big time. Sam Darnold is an elite quarterback. Now let's talk about the Bears. Caleb Williams, he had a rough game. 18 for 31 for completion, threw for 191 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. It was 13-0. Bears scored a touchdown, but that penalty killed them. If it wasn't for that penalty, I feel like the game would have been a lot closer. But overall, I knew it wasn't going to be close at all because the Vikings were going to dominate the Bears. They're now 4-9 in the season. I'm going to go ahead and keep saying this week by week. It's the Hail Mary in Washington, okay? They were 4-2, 2 seconds away from winning that game and going 5-2 of the season. Because if they would have beaten Washington, they'll still be in playoff position. But the Bears just can't get over the Hail Mary. But that's it. Vikings win 30-12. Last but not least, to wrap up my Week 15 NFL recap, we got my Atlanta Falcons, these Dirty Birds, defeating the Las Vegas Raiders 15-9. And the Atlanta Falcons are now 7-7 season, still alive for the playoffs. We can still win the division and get a wild card spot. But let's talk about the game in general. This was an ugly win, but a win is a win. All right, I'll take it. It should have never came down to that Hail Mary by Desmond Ridder. I'll talk about this game more on TikTok and post it on Instagram at @D_now_report. Make sure you go follow me on Instagram and TikTok at @D_now_report. It's in my bio too, so make sure you check it out. Kirk Cousins. Count your days. Kirk Cousins, he had an okay game. 11 for 17 for completion, threw for 112 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Kirk Cousins, the first play of the third quarter, we get the ball from a good return by Avery Williams. And what happens? You come out the second half, throw an interception. We was cool until you threw that interception, but I think it's time to start Michael Penix Jr. Yes, I think it's time to start Penix because Kirk Cousins is a little banged up right now. But we won the game, though. I'll take the win, though. Jesse Bates saved us with the interception. And Justin Simmons, he also got an interception as well, too. But one player I want to talk about, Bijan Robinson. Amazing game. 22 attempts, ran for 125 yards, 0 touchdowns. Bijan Robinson has been carrying the offense for the past 4 weeks. Okay. Kirk Cousins hasn't really been doing anything because he's playing like he's hurt. Okay. He's playing like he's hurt. He just came off an Achilles injury. He's not playing properly. All right. I don't know why Coach Morris won't just sit him down, let him heal properly, and then start the rookie Michael Penix Jr. Because if Penix starts, he will go off. Okay. But otherwise, though, looking at the stats for the receivers, Drake London, 3 targets, 3 receptions for 53 yards and 1 touchdown. Kyle Pitts, we started getting involved more. 4 targets, 4 receptions for 28 yards. Darnell Mooney, only 1 target, 0 receptions. Kirk Cousins, you got to play better. Okay, you got to play better. All right, we're in win now mode. We got to win out to make the playoffs. Okay, and that's how it is. We have to win out to make the playoffs. And here's the scenario that the Atlanta Falcons can make the playoffs: to win a division, win out 10-7. Buccaneers lose 1 game. In another scenario, we can get the wild card spot if we win out. The Commanders lose to the Eagles. Even though if they beat the Cowboys, we'll have the tiebreaker. The Seattle Seahawks lose to the Minnesota Vikings. If all that happens, we beat the Giants 8-7. We're 8-7. Seattle's 8-7. The Commanders are 9-6. And we play the Commanders in week 17 in Washington, which could be a potential win-in scenario when you're the 7th seed. That's going to be that for that final spot in the NFC playoffs. And I believe we'll win that game. All right, so Kirk Cousins, you got to play better. You got to be on it. All right. If you're not playing very well, it's okay. Just sit down, ask coach, hey, I'm not doing too well. Put Penix in the game. But the defense played phenomenal. All right. Defense was amazing. Held in the Raiders to a field goal, except for that touchdown in the 4th quarter. Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates had an interception in the 4th quarter, which was key interceptions, huge interceptions. Because if it wasn't for those interceptions, we would have won that game. Special teams, amazing. Cordell Hodge, 2 block punts. That's the reason why we won the game. All right. Special teams and defense. 2 block punts, an extra point block. I love what I've seen for this Atlanta Falcons team. A win is a win, but it was a real ugly win, though. I'm going to talk about it more on the NAR Report on TikTok and Instagram. Make sure y'all go stay tuned for that. But otherwise, though, Desmond Ridder in his revenge game, he almost had it. He almost pulled it off, but he had a solid game. 23 for 39 for completion, threw for 208 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But the Raiders are tanking for Shedeur Sanders, and I hope that Shedeur Sanders gets drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders. And that's it. That concludes my Week 15 NFL recap. Falcons win 15-9 against the Raiders. Now, to conclude the show, I'm here to give y'all my Week 16 NFL predictions. Week 16 of the NFL season kicks off Thursday night with a huge game. Playoff implications in the AFC. The Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. Good game. Bo Nix versus Justin Herbert. Broncos win this game. They'll be in the playoffs. Chargers are desperate for a win. I'm taking the Chargers to beat the Broncos. I think they'll bounce back after that rough loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hold on. We got 2 Saturday games. Not 1, but 2 Saturday NFL games during the college football games. It's crazy because this weekend we got college football and NFL. What a time to be alive. 2 Saturday games. The first game, we got the Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I understand Mahomes is hurt, but you can never pick against the Chiefs, all right? I'm picking Kansas City to beat Houston. Next up, battle for the AFC North between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm rolling with the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't trust the Steelers in this situation right now. So give me the Ravens over the Steelers. Lamar Jackson will outplay Russell Wilson. Then we go to the Sunday games at 1 o'clock. Starting off with my Atlanta Falcons, these Dirty Birds taking on the New York Giants at home. The Atlanta Falcons will beat the New York Giants. Falcons, we better blow them out. Y'all better blow the Giants out at home too. And we're in the throwbacks. Y'all better go crazy against the Giants. It should not be close. We should at least put at least 30 on them. Okay? Because the Giants are awful. They don't have a quarterback. Their best player is Malik Neighbors. So I got the Falcons beating the Giants. And I'll go over my Week 16 predictions after I go over all of them. Next up, we got the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Carolina Panthers. I'm taking the Cardinals over the Panthers to stay alive for the NFC West division race. Next up, we got the Detroit Lions taking on the Chicago Bears. No way the Lions lose this game. Give me the Lions over the Bears. Next up, we got the Titans and the Colts. The Colts will beat the Titans. We got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the New York Jets. I got the Rams beating the Jets. We got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. The Eagles will win that game against Washington and clinch the NFC East. And if Washington loses, though, let's say, for instance, we beat the Giants. We're 8-7. Commanders lose 9-6. That game in Week 17 in Washington is going to be for the 7th seed and that final playoff spot. So, and I believe it will be because Atlanta and Washington Week 17, that is a playoff game. All right. And that's going to determine who makes the playoffs. But back to what I was saying, Philly is going to be Washington because Philly's the best team in the league right now. We got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals will beat the Browns. We got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Seattle Seahawks. The Vikings will beat the Seahawks, and I don't think Geno Smith is going to play. We got the Patriots and Bills. Bills, that's an easy pick. Jaguars, Raiders. Who's going to watch this game? All right, there's nothing going on about this game. Both teams tanking. I'm going with the Jaguars over the Raiders. 49ers, Dolphins, 2, 6, and 8 teams going up against each other, trying to stay alive for the playoffs. I got the Dolphins beating the 49ers. The 49ers are just banged up with injuries. And then for Sunday night, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Dallas Cowboys. I'm rooting for the Cowboys, okay? But I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to beat the Dallas Cowboys. And that's just a hard decision. Like, I don't know. Like, sometimes you just can't pick the Cowboys to win the game because you don't know what they're going to do. All right, for my predictions, I'm going to be for real. I got the Buccaneers winning, but I'll be rooting for the Cowboys. All right. And then for Monday night, the Packers will beat the Saints. I'm going to go over my Week 16 predictions again. Broncos, Chargers, I got the Chargers. Texans, Chiefs, I got the Chiefs. Steelers, Ravens, I got the Ravens. Giants, Falcons, Falcons. Cardinals, Panthers, Cardinals. Lions, Bears, Lions. Titans, Colts, Colts. Rams, Jets, Rams. Eagles, Commanders, Eagles. Browns, Bengals, Bengals. Vikings, Seahawks, I got the Vikings. Patriots, Bills, Bills. Jags, Raiders, Jags. 49ers, Dolphins, Dolphins. Bucks, Cowboys, Bucks. Saints, Packers, Packers. So that's Chargers, Chiefs, Ravens, Falcons, Cardinals, Lions, Colts, Rams, Eagles, Bengals, Vikings, Bills, Jags, Dolphins, Bucks, and Packers. Those are the teams I have winning in Week 16 of the NFL season. And that concludes today's show of the NAR Report. Thank you for everybody that joined. I appreciate all the love and support. Make sure to follow me on all of my social media platforms at _NAR_report. And sub to the YouTube. Click that bell to get all the notifications on when I go live. And that's it. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Watching some good football this weekend. Nard out.